I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about what I would do if I was the President of the United States. And I got this idea because I heard this thing about Colombia, and Trump was trying to send illegal aliens from Colombia back to Colombia. And he loaded them on military planes and sent them back. Well, the Colombian president would not allow the planes to land, so they had to be diverted to another country. And so Trump got on the internet and made some threats about 25% tariffs, and in a week there was going to be 50% tariffs and some other stuff. And so the Colombian president said, okay, we'll take our people. I mean, it was effective. He got done what he wanted to do, but I just would have done it differently. I literally and honestly and seriously, with all the deep state covert ops shit that we do and all this stuff that our government does, they were already in military planes, C-130s or something. I would have strapped parachutes to their backs and kicked them out the door. Let there's your people. Do with them what you want. I would take all this money from these foreign wars and this DEI projects and shit and all this uh, money from the WEF and the WHO, and I would make parachutes. Yeah, I'd make little parachutes for toddlers and shit. Send them home. Let them you deal with them now. And then I'd put a 25% tariff on them. And if I catch another Colombian coming across the border, then it would go up to 50%. That kind of shit. These are the kind of measures that we need to deal with this stuff. And I saw another interview about the immigrants and how they were asking JD Vance if they've been vetted, if they were going to let them stay. And JD Vance was kind of wishy-washy about it, about how they couldn't prove that they were vetted, and it was difficult to know if they'd actually been vetted and all this stuff. And when the correct answer was no, it doesn't matter if they're vetted or not. Okay, they broke the law. If you or I rob a bank, we don't get to, oh, I was vetted. I know I broke the law, but I was vetted, so I get to go free. Yeah, I murdered somebody, but I was vetted. I got vetted. I don't understand what the problem is. I was vetted. No, we have laws. As soon as someone steps over that border without going through the proper channels, they break the law. They are criminals. As soon as their boot touches the ground on American soil, they are criminals. And criminals are subject to consequences for breaking the law. All of us Americans are subject to all kinds of ridiculous, arbitrary laws and rules and regulations. The government robs us through taxes. And if we don't pay, we go to jail or we get fined. Not to mention just all of the other useless nonsense laws we have to abide by. So all of these people, immigrants, need to abide by our laws as well. They're there for a reason, good or bad. And if we don't get to get away with shit by saying I was vetted, neither do they. I don't give a shit if you're vetted. You come over here, the only thing you're going to get is a parachute when we drop your ass back in your own country. And hypocrisy is that's what bothers me the most. I might be getting it wrong, but I could have swore that Jesus made some kind of quote about a hypocrite, about hypocrites and how he couldn't stand hypocrites. I might be wrong about that, but hypocrisy just really bothers me. This Colombian president. Now, if we just unloaded our prisons and sent them down south to Colombia, that president would throw a fit. The world would probably throw a fit. We can't do that. But Colombia can do it to us. Colombia can do it to the American people, but the American government can't do that to the Colombian people. That would be horrifying if we just sent all our prisoners down to Colombia, right? It's crazy to think about. We would never do that, but they do it to America all the time. Gang members and other. So And even the people who want to, who are just looking for a better life, they break the law. Yes, maybe the law needs to be changed. It needs to be, and in my opinion, it would. And that's the other thing I would do is I would just shut down immigration altogether. I'd shut that shit down. Not a single immigrant would come into America for 6 months or whatever until they got it right, until our laws were good or were better. End all this chain migration and all this bullshit, right? So yeah, I'd send them home if I in the black of night, and then the president of El Salvador or Colombia or wherever, Pakistan, would wake up the next morning with a tariff on his 25% tariff on his ass, and all his people returned to him. That's what I would do. The second thing I would do is I'd go through all the federal laws. There have to be some federal law against child abuse, right? Got to be somewhere. I don't give a shit if it was written in 1892. I'd dig it up, dust it off, and I would start arresting all of these doctors who were doing this uh, gender affirming care, hacking off little boys' nads and giving out these hormones to these kids. Anybody who did some of this experimental surgery or hormone treatment on a person who was 21 years or younger, yeah, they'd go to prison. I'd probably put them on a chain gang and have them build the prison first, and then they could live there. Yeah, all those doctors doing that shit, and then any parent who sent their kid to Canada or Mexico or somewhere else to get this gender affirming care would also join the doctor there in that federal prison, that brand spanking new federal prison. Or maybe I'd just give them a parachute and send them to Colombia. Yeah, I just think it's time for strong messages, and I would send them. All this tweeting and shit, yeah, I mean it's it's effective in getting the problem solved, but it's not effective in preventing future problems. I think examples need to be set so that they don't, other people who are thinking about doing this shit, maybe they won't. Maybe I won't cut that kid's gonads off. Maybe I won't cross into America illegally. Maybe I won't, send this shipment of drugs or whatever. And that's the other thing I do is lock down our border. I put our military on our border. There would be Humvees and drones patrolling our border. We would stop the human trafficking coming across here. The last number I heard was 400,000 children who came across our border just vanished, disappeared. They're gone. No one knows where they went. Just into these human trafficking. Maybe they went to Bohemian Grove, so our senators and shit could disappear them. Maybe they went to that pizza place up there in Washington with Pizzagate and all that. I don't know. But they vanished. And now another example of hypocrisy is some celebrity, I don't even know her name, Selena Gomez or some shit like that, gets on there and she's crying, right? And because of all the children we're deporting back to their homes, sending them back home. Not a tear. She didn't shed a single tear for all of the 400,000 children who disappeared into slavery, abuse. No telling what is happening to these children. She hasn't shed a tear for one of them. But heaven forbid we send some people back home. Now her heart's just bursting with sadness for these people that are just going home. The hypocrisy there is it's outstanding. It's mind numbing. So I'd secure our border. Fentanyl and all this shit would stop coming across our border. I'd take the TSA and I'd have them quit harassing Americans just flying back and forth across America, and I would put them to finding drugs. Where are these drugs have to be coming in on airplanes and boats and shit, right? They're shipments of tons. It's not like you're looking for a set of car keys. You're looking for a semi-truck sized pallet of drugs. Put them to work, making America better, safer, more prosperous. Another thing is I've never heard of anybody ever, not in my lifetime, and I could be wrong on this, so point it out in the comments if I am, but I've never heard of anybody being arrested for for infringing on the constitutional rights of someone else. So, and that is illegal. It is illegal in the United States. It says it in the Constitution. The Constitution is the law of the land, and it is illegal to violate the Constitution. So why aren't these governors and mayors and shit in these sanctuary cities where they're, banning guns and all this stuff, and banning free speech and all this other stuff? Why aren't these people being arrested? So yeah, I'd figure out how, and I'd arrest these mayors and these governors, because that is the federal government's actual job, to protect the Constitution, and it is not doing that. That's its only job. It is supposed to protect the Constitution. And if it starts arresting these crooked ass mayors and governors who are destroying their cities and their states, put these people in prison for breaking the law. That's exactly what they're doing. If you don't want a gun, you don't have to have a gun. And as soon as they ban guns, the crime rate skyrockets. Why? Because the criminals will get the guns anyway, because they're already criminals. They're already breaking the law. If you're gonna go rob a bank, what the hell is another petty ass gun charge on top of it? You're already breaking the law in the act of robbing the bank, right? So who cares? But a normal law-abiding citizen will follow the law and get rid of their gun. And hence, crime skyrockets because citizens can no longer defend themselves, and the criminals were never going to get rid of their guns in the first place. Same thing with free speech. We don't need to ban free speech. If you don't want to say something, don't say it. If you want to say something, say it. People don't need to be banned. They have the right and the ability to just shut the hell up. That's what America's about. Freedom. Start arresting these duplicitous, hypocritical politicians running these cities and these states into the ground. And Trump is talking about ending all this DEI stuff, right? And then DEI, here's an argument with DEI is just fine because we had nepotism and cronyism and all this shit before, right? It's just common sense. You don't fix a bad thing by replacing it with another bad thing. You just get rid of the bad thing. Nobody would want to cure cancer with AIDS. It's just stupid. When you put it in any other environment, physical, medical, whatever, and you do something like that, it's just stupid on its face. Okay? No, you don't get rid of a bad thing with another bad thing. All right? You don't get rid of a vicious dog and replace it with a vicious bobcat or something. You're still going to get ripped apart. It just there's no sense in it. All of it needs to go. We need fair laws, which we had. You couldn't discriminate against somebody because of their race or their sex or their religion or anything like that. But now we've done away with that. You can discriminate against them because of that. We brought back the discrimination. I can discriminate against you because of your race as long as you're white. I can discriminate against you because of your sex as long as you're male. I can discriminate against you because of your sexual preference as long as you're straight. I can discriminate against you for religious purposes as long as you're a Christian. So, you know what I'm saying? You can't do that. It's ridiculous. There's still discrimination. The root of it is is still there. If you replace cancer with AIDS, you're still sick. You didn't fix anything. You just replaced one bad with another bad. So I'd get rid of that shit. And I'd enact strict laws to make sure, to ensure fairness. And then if people, you'd have to set it up so that the judges can't be paid off and all this shit. You know what I'm saying? You'd have to somehow figure out how to take money out of the equation. So all these, our court system is screwed because whoever has enough money to get the best lawyer wins. So you'd have to fix that as well. This whole thing, this whole system needs to start with the education system, and that's the other thing I'd fix. I'd rip that thing down to, even if kids had to take a year off of school, I'd take it down to its foundation. If people can get whatever that money was everybody got during COVID, right? We all got the whatever money during COVID because no one could work. Well, we set up some kind of fund. If we can send 10 or $100 billion over to one foreign war, we can afford to pay for daycare or whatever for a year until we get our education system straightened out and start at kindergarten and all the way up. Math, science, teaching this kind of stuff. Root out all this gender studies and all this other shit. Get the federal government completely out of education. I take these things back down to their foundations, the education system, the immigration system, I would take them down to nothing and start over. And I would fund them by ending foreign wars, ending all these frivolous policies and programs that don't do anything to help anyone. They just hurt the American people. I'd use that money to restructure the things that actually matter. Education, starting with that, because that's where it all starts. Start teaching truth. Not only that, but the value of truth. Because if you don't value truth, then it doesn't matter. Teach people to love their country, teach these kids to love their country, teach these kids to honor the truth, to keep their word, treat people with respect, then teach them how to spell and write and add, go back to the foundations. Stop immigration completely for a year. Shut down the border. Shut down the importation of all these deadly drugs, fentanyl, and all this shit coming across our border. Shut down all these horrible experimental gender surgeries and studies that are going on with these kids. And again, I can't say it often enough. If you're 35 years old and you want to go get your shit chopped off, go ahead. Get it chopped off. I don't care. I don't care if you want to be a woman. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But don't do it to kids. Leave the kids alone. And everyone with any degree of honor wants to protect children. They don't want to harm children. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate those of you who do that. Thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, you can hop over to Redbubble and check out what we have over there. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. Pretty cool stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, stuff like that. But I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a lot. Thank you very much to those of you who do that. I sincerely appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can head over to the channel page and email us from there. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.